Here's what we're going to do today. The goal is to give you a power session on marketing. How we're going to start things off is we're going to tell you a little bit of the key insights, the overview of the books. Let's find the biggest marketing solution you need right now. So hang tight and let's do this. Allan, I want to throw the table to you. Why don't you share a little bit about one-page marketing plan and some of the basic strategies that are in the book?
The one-page marketing plan was a process long before it was a book. So I would work with consulting clients, and one of the first things that I wanted them to do was put together a marketing plan, right? Because anytime that the stakes are high, you want to plan. You don't want to just wing it, right? And marketing is the most critical process in your business, because there's nothing more important than being able to attract, convert, and retain customers. You know, you don't have a business if you don't have that. I mean, you can get your product perfect, you can get all sorts of things right, but if you can't attract, convert, and retain clients, then the game is over, right? And so I was trying to push my clients into really putting together a marketing plan, and I got all sorts of pushback: too hard, too difficult, don't know where to start, got to hire a consultant, all of those sorts of things. So out of necessity, I created a very, very simple marketing planning process, literally in a single page. It's called the one-page marketing plan, and literally in a single page, in maybe 15 to 20 minutes, you can put together a comprehensive marketing plan for your business.
No one knows anything about your business except for the marketing until they do business with you. Marketing is the first experience people have, so you have to get it right. What I found is there's an exceptional book out there on marketing plans. It's Allan's book. What about figuring out the things that will work specifically for your business and turning that into a plan? I call those marketing experiments. Find what works, amplify it into a plan. And so Get Different is about identifying the elements that work for your business. I call it the DAD checklist. These are little check boxes. DAD is your marketing must differentiate itself from the existing marketing, but it also must be attractive for your audience. So they need to notice it, but you don't want them to be offended. So, don't dress like Bozo the Clown walking around. That may attract people, but does it really repel or attract them? I mean, people may notice, but does it really attract them or repel them? So first, stand out. Then it must also be attractive. And the last element, it must tell them what to do with that information direct. And if you can check off these three elements, the DAD elements, your marketing is likely to be successful. It's businesses that go in and only do one or two of these checks that are crippled. Okay. All right, Allan, the first question I have for you is, when do you know your marketing has gone stale?
The biggest thing that I look for when is your marketing successful or not, is it getting you a return on investment? So a lot of times I've seen people who've changed up their marketing or removed an ad that's been working just for the sake of change and just because it's, they're seeing it all the time. But the thing you got to remember is sometimes, something that you've seen 10,000 times might be the first time that somebody else is seeing it. So to me, the ultimate measure is it getting me a profit? Is it getting me a return on investment? That is really the key critical point. So it's gone stale and you need to change it up when you're no longer getting a good return on investment for your marketing. That is, to me, the ultimate measure.
Awesome. All right. Next question is a lead magnet dead. I'm going to start with that, Allan, and I want to hear kind of your point or counterpoint. So a lead magnet is a mechanism you have on typically your website, but it could be anywhere where there's a transaction. I'm inviting my customer to give me something in exchange for something. You give me your email, the right to communicate with you, and I, in exchange, will give you this downloadable PDF. Or maybe you come to my store where I sell cars. I'm a car salesperson. You give me your cell number so I can text you pictures of vehicles. That is a lead magnet, a form of currency exchange. And the idea is that you use that to perpetuate the final transaction. When does it go stale? When it's no longer serving you. And the key is to involve a metric. You only know something's not working if you can base upon the history you've had. So if I have 10 visitors to my website every day and 2 of them download a PDF, and this is a year later and still 2 downloading the PDF every day, it's likely still working. Now, I'm not saying you can't seek ways to improve it, but that's the lead indicator. You must have a key, some way to know how you've been performing historically to see if it's still working or not in the first place. Do you have other ideas, Allan? Is there a way to know if a lead magnet's gone dead?
Yeah, totally. So is someone progressing through our funnel? And I want to back up a little bit here as well and just explain, right? So why are we capturing leads in the first place? It might seem a little bit obvious, but I think of it this way. Your prospects are in 2 separate buckets. There are people who are ready to buy today, And it takes no great sophistication to convert those. Everyone knows how to convert a prospect who's ready to buy today, right? You're ready to buy today, great. Sign on the dotted line or click the buy now link or whatever. But there's a much larger pool of prospects who are ready to buy sometime in the future, maybe in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, a year, 2 years. And that's where sophisticated marketers come in, and they know how to convert those people who are not ready to buy today. So we really want to take people through that whole nurturing conversion process through a funnel that leads them to the ultimate sale when they are ready, not necessarily when we're ready, because we're ready today, but our prospect might not be.
Are there some indicators that are easy to extract from that prospect of ready today versus ready 30 days from now?
Yeah, we sometimes call it a cornerstone piece of content. So what's a piece of content that you want to be famous for? So for example, in my business, it's the one-page marketing plan canvas, right? I'm kind of famous for that. People invite me to speak about that. And so that's my real lead magnet or cornerstone piece of content, and same with my book. And so what's a piece of content that you want to really be famous for that will be a tripwire? So prior to the book, I had a report called The Business Owner's Guide to Getting More Clients. Now, you would have to question someone's sanity who downloaded the Business Owner's Guide to Getting More Clients, who wasn't a business owner, who wanted to get more clients, right? So you want to make the lead magnet something that kind of helps people self-identify. Hey, I'm one of these people. So I'm a business owner and I want to get more clients. So that you download the report called The Business Owner's Guide to Getting More Clients. And again, similar to the one-page marketing plan or Get Different, someone who is self-identifying themselves as a small business and wants to further their marketing is they're self-identifying. It's kind of a tripwire as such.
Yeah, love it. This question came in, how do I generate leads in the first place? And my suggestion is we have to find congregation points for the ideal avatar. So the question, of course, is who are you seeking first? That's the ideal avatar.
Yes.
If you are selling to airline pilots, going to the local chamber of commerce, probably not as effective as going to the airline association meetings. So you realize that birds of a feather flock together. First, identify who you're targeting and then where they congregate. Those are your marketing targets. Can you be a sponsor for an event? Could you be a speaker at one of their events at the airline association meeting? You'll probably get a lot more leads and opportunities. That's my first kind of inklings of ideas of where I would get started. How about you, Allan?
Yeah, exactly. The one-page marketing plan, literally the first step in it is my target market. And so you want to figure out, who are my people? If you were the mayor of a town, who are your people? Who are the people that you serve? And exactly as you say, my congregation points, I sometimes literally tell people, I've spoken to many clients on this around getting to understand their target market very well. And, it's been a bit of a challenge with COVID, but sometimes just attending an industry conference, you will learn more than you will in 6 months of online research. You'll see keynote speakers who are speaking about whatever's topical in the industry. You'll have chatter around what's disrupting that industry or what they're concerned about. So you want to get really deep into the psychology of your target market, understand what are they fearing? What are they dreaming about? What's disrupting their industry? What's the pain points right now? And you'll learn more in a day at one of these industry conferences or events than you will in 6 months of researching Facebook and LinkedIn and Reddit and all of that. Not that those things are bad either.
Yeah. I also want to share the power of speaking lingo. There's a transfer of trust. When you meet someone for the first time and they have a shared common experiences or elements, we trust them more. Could you imagine you're traveling to another country and while you're traveling, you run into someone that went to the same grade school as you? What's your affinity toward them? Much stronger because you have a common bond. One of the strongest ways to form bonds through marketing is using common language. If you're selling to a community, use the words and the language they use, and that means to them, you get them. And that's powerful. All right, this came in from Kyle. Says, I'm really trying to figure out who I really want to work with. I know I need to, but I must have a fear of commitment. So Kyle's question seems about picking the right community. Can I change the avatar, or how do I pick them in the first place?
Yeah,
Allan?
totally. Look, the whole point of putting together a one-page marketing plan, which was one of the reasons I put it together in one page, is so that it could be a living document. So it's, I've had the experience putting together a long 70-page marketing plan, and what happens to that? It gets shoved in the top drawer of your desk forever forgotten. A one-page marketing plan can be updated at any time. So when you get better or more information, you can just update your target market. So a lot of times when you're starting with a new business or a new startup, you've kind of got to hypothesize and guess if you haven't been part of that target market before, or if you don't know it very well. So as you get better and more information, absolutely, you can update that, you can pivot. And, arguably the best businesses are ones that pivot over time. When you have a look at some of the big Silicon Valley startups, very often they end up in a different business to what they started at. So you bet on the entrepreneur, but the idea can change over time and probably will change over time.
I see some people asking, what does DAD or DID stand for? It stands for differentiate, attract, and direct. Those are the three elements to effective marketing. Question came in about writing content. Biggest struggle I have is finding and putting together high quality content.
Some of the best content comes from your help desk, right? So monitoring your help desk, monitoring your sales inquiries. I often tell business owners, you should spend at least a few hours every month on your help desk, on your sales queue, just to really understand what are some of the questions. So Marcus Sheridan of River Pools and Spas did this so well. I don't know if you know the story, Mike.
I don't.
In 2008, they were basically, with the recession, they were a pool business. They were about to go out of business. Marcus Sheridan started blogging. What did he do in his blogs? He took the most common questions he got in a sales environment and wrote a blog about it. Today, he's one of the biggest pool builders in North America from the brink of bankruptcy into 2008, and now purely on answering questions, creating content. Now he's gotten a lot more sophisticated. Now he's creating YouTube videos and all of those sorts of things. But amazing, what you can do from a content marketing perspective.
My gosh, my friends, that is genius you just heard from Allan Dib. Write that one down. What a great way to create content. Allan, this is an interesting question, is how do I make my product stand out from everyone else? Here's my thought is, what if I have a relatively generic product and can't change a product? Is there still a way to market it differently if it's kind of generic?
Totally. I'll give you an example. So anyone heard of Dollar Shave Club, right? There's nothing whatsoever unique about the product. Normal, cheap men's razor blades, same as you'd buy in Costco, Walmart, or the local drugstore or anywhere else. But they put a unique spin on it. They started selling it by subscription, tapping into men's laziness to go shopping and forget about buying their razor blade and all of that sort of thing. They sold to Unilever for $1 billion. Zero innovation in the product, nothing new, no innovations whatsoever. They just put a small little spin on it, started selling it via subscription. That was worth $1 billion. So what's something that you can cross-pollinate from another industry? So clearly they got that idea from SaaS industry or other recurring revenue business. And then I thought, how do we apply that to razor blades? So I love to cross-pollinate ideas from other industries. How can we have a look at how they're selling in another industry? How are they pricing? How are they positioning themselves, and apply it to our industry? Because I've found that most people in most industries are very myopic. And so if you can take something from another industry, you can be massively differentiated.
I also want to share a technique called blending. Blending is where you take an idea from outside your industry and you blend it into yours, just as Allan was talking about. There was a bank in New Jersey that sold for, ironically, $1 billion. It sounds like the Dollar Shave Club. What they did is they noticed that Happy Meals was the best marketing tool for fast food restaurants like McDonald's. The child's pulling on mom and dad's pant leg to go to McDonald's. Well, what they did is they noticed when the minivan pulled up to the bank, kid wasn't in the car, it was the family pooch. So what they started doing was sending dog biscuits out. It caused a Pavlovian response, Allan. People were driving in their minivans past the bank, and the dog would start salivating and barking and want to go to the bank. And owners were thrilled that her dog got a special treat, and they got special attention as a result, and the business sold for $1 billion. I'm not saying just dog treats alone did it, but they blended an idea. All right, Allan, next question. Okay, so Allan, I have an established business. It's doing well here. I'm getting lots of referrals here, but I want to go to this new industry and I got nobody. What can I do in this case?
I would use this as an advantage. So I would use it to promote that, hey, it's all about appearing to be different. And it's not just for the sake of being different, but what can be different and effective. So what's something that you can use that's out of place in your industry or the city that you're breaking into? So being out of place can be massively helpful. So I would use the marketing that you're using, the testimonials that you're using. If you've got a system that works, if you know you've got a Facebook ad that converts in this particular city, applying it to another city can be very, very helpful as well. Use the same testimonials that you're using, use case studies, things, success stories that you've had with those clients. So a lot of things can be really just transplanted.
There it is. Transplant the ideas that work. So I talk about 3 stages of effective marketing, or 3 elements, I should say: differentiate, attract, and direct. Direct is what we're talking about now. Direct is where you give a prospect an action to take with your marketing. Now, here's the key I have. You got to make sure it's reasonable. You come into my auto store and say you're looking for your dream car, and I say, oh, give me $100,000 deposit. We'll find this. That's absurd. It's unreasonable. Other people do one that's so ambiguous. You come in, you're looking for a car, and I'm like, oh, that's great. You're looking for a car. Good luck. No, I'm the car salesperson. I need to ask a reasonable step, and it needs to be a transaction. So the direct or direction to give you may be, give me your cell number. I can send you photographs of inventory. And now I have permission to market to you or provide you with information. And I have a dialogue built up that'll go toward the final transaction. That is the call to action. A question that came in very similar to this was, where do we mess up on the call to action, Allan?
The biggest thing is it being missing. And I can't tell you how many times I've been on the receiving end of this as a client, as a prospect, where I've signed up to a product or a service or bought something, and I'm like, okay, what's the next step? What do I do next? Or I've wanted to sign up, and there's no clear call to action. I don't know what I need to do next. And leadership is a very, very attractive quality in a sales process. So people want to be led. So lead your prospects to the ultimate point, which is the sale. And after the sale, tell them what to do next. And that can be literally click this button here, add to cart, do this. So you want to be very, very clear. And a lot of times when we're doing website reviews for some of our clients, it's just fixing up some of those weaker call to actions. Instead of having a button that says submit, have a button that says download now. So you're literally telling people what you want them to do. What do you want the person to do at every next step? And the other trap is sometimes people kind of jump to the final step where the sale is the final step, but there are many intermediary steps between the sales. So it could be you want them to click the ad. Then when they've clicked the ad, you want them to enter their email address on the landing page. And then after that, you may want them to do whatever, reply to that email or add to cart or whatever. So direct them through every step of the way. Assume they have no idea what to do, because a lot of times they have no idea what to do. So tell them exactly what you want them to do.
That is a takeaway, my friends. Assume they don't know what to do. What's your judgment on social media?
Yeah, no, look, I don't think it's ineffective, but here's the problem. Social media is someone else's asset, right? So I firmly believe that income comes from assets, right? If you own a house, you can get rental income. If you own stocks, you can get dividend income. And the same is true of marketing. If you own marketing assets, you can generate new leads, new clients, new prospects. Now, we absolutely do use social media, but we use it in a context. We know that at any time, Facebook can change the rules, Google can change the rules, TikTok or whatever you're using. You want to be building your own assets. So in other words, you want to be the landlord, not the tenant. On all of those platforms, you're the tenant. And as the tenant, you can be kicked out at any time, and you don't have to be doing anything crazy. I mean, Pinterest recently changed their terms and conditions. They said no more weight loss ads on our platform. Now, if you're in the weight loss industry, boom, you're off that platform, and you may have invested thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars and a lot of time and money, invested into that platform. Boom, overnight, you're gone. Literally, we saw the president of the United States be deplatformed, so no one's immune to this. So you want to build an asset that you own and that you control. And so that's why I'm so focused on building my email list, because no one, Facebook can't stop me from sending emails. Google can't stop me from sending emails. This is a platform that I own where I'm the landlord.
That was the quote of the day. The other question is, cold calling still effective? I want to take this one initially, and I'm going to go back to my little slide deck here. When it comes to being different, there is 2 ways to differentiate. One, you're back, is through a method. One is through a medium. So the question is, will cold calling work? And this simple answer is this. Is my competition that's marketing to the same prospects I am already using this method? If they are, that achieves what's called habituation. Chances are you've received a "Hey friend" email. The first one may have caught your attention. By the second or third one, you've never paid attention again because it's not relevant. And if you get hit by one, you don't watch it because you've been habituated to it. If everyone's cold calling your prospect that you're cold calling, it's not going to work. In that case, this has become habituated. We need to change the medium, a different approach. But conversely, if everyone is sending postcards, then we can jump. I'm sorry. If everyone's saying postcards, that's the medium. You can change up and do cold calling. If everyone's doing cold calling, change the postcards. That's the medium. The method is the approach. So instead of doing a hey friend email, if you send an email with someone's real name in it, it may be different. That's changing up the method. So you can use an established approach if everyone's doing it just in a different way, or you can change up the method. So we're asking about different marketing platforms. Are webinars effective, Allan?
There's a reason we're doing it, right? So look, almost every media is effective for someone. And one of the things that I love your idea that you've really propelled in the book of habituation. We want to stand out in the media that's atypical for our market. So we sometimes call it out of place media. Showing up in a place where you're not necessarily expected to show up, showing up in a different way, showing up in a way where it's not normal for you to show up in that way. And I think that's really important.
Are newsletters dead? And I just want to start off this challenge is whenever we think is something dead, we have to first ask ourselves, is there an opportunity to be different? Is the method or the medium the concern? So the medium is email. Do I have to change up the medium? Email's dead, or simply can I go into email and change the method? Let me tell you something I did. I'm an author, like Allan. The most common way to promote books is through a broadcast through your email list. You hit your list, so to speak. I noticed everyone was using that medium and doing black text against a white background. So I said, well, what's opposite of black is white? So what about white text and white background? I'm like, nah, it's invisible. You can't read that. I'm like, it's invisible. I sent out the first ever invisible ink email. The first line said, this is an invisible ink email. Drag and highlight below to reveal the message, which is about my book. And in there it said, this is a different way of getting the word out. And you can use techniques like this too. And I promoted my book. It was the best click-through rate I've ever had. So Allan, are newsletters dead in your opinion?
Newsletters are not dead at all. But what I'll say is the way you do newsletters, you want to change up. There are so many lists I'm subscribed to, and some, you just fall asleep and unsubscribe or drag to the spam folder. Others, you just can't wait to get their next email. And here's the difference. So I'll give you an example from a lawyer who on his email list, right? And they're terrible, terrible newsletters. The subject line is usually something like March 2021 newsletter, and then he talks a whole lot of legal jargon, and there's no way someone is getting through them. What I try to do, and what the best email newsletters do, tell a story. So what's something that happened? What's something tying that into something? Because people are just hardwired to respond and listen to stories. So you can't bore someone into buying. So really what you want to do is capture interest, be interesting, tell stories, tell people what's going on, and do it in a way that interests them. I think of it as infotainment. Yes, we want to inform them, but we want to entertain them as well, because people will sit through hours and hours of entertainment. People say that people have short attention spans. Everyone's heard this. Don't do a video that's more than 3 minutes or whatever. Well, tell that to Joe Rogan, who has 3-hour podcasts, right? Tell that to Tim Ferriss, right? Who has 3-4 hour podcasts. So people don't have a short attention span. People have a short consideration span. So,
my God, everyone write that down. Write it down. And we have a penchant for voyeurism. There's a reason we love social media. We love seeing inside, behind the scenes. You can use that. The question is attention spans. You said it's the considerations changing. Is there a way to address that consideration that's constantly happening, Allan, in our marketing?
You want to create that open loop. So, I'm at the moment binge watching the 3rd season of Succession, and every episode ends with an open loop. I'm like, oh, damn, what happens next? I can't, my lunch hours are now dragging on to 90 minutes because I watch it over lunch, right? So it's because, you want to really hook people early on. So lead with your strongest material, right? A lot of people feel like they've got to have their strongest material in the middle or towards the end or whatever. Lead with your strongest hook, and then hook people, and then take them through that whole process, tell the story.
Yeah. And there's one more technique, hands down. The most important technique you can use, I write about it in Get Different, is Okay, I'll tell you guys later. All right, next. And that's the technique. It's called curiosity. It's called curiosity. We humans have a propensity, the need to bring conclusion to it. What we're trying to do is affirm, was that what my thought was or not?
Yes.
That's a technique to use in your marketing. Invoke curiosity, a thirst to get the conclusion. Leave unanswered statements out there so that people cling to it. Next question is, my company generates sales with less marketing year on year. Is it a safe way, or do you recommend we improve our marketing?
Look, referrals are awesome, but what the problem is, a lot of people hope and pray for referrals. And so the last step in the one-page marketing plan, I talk about orchestrating and stimulating referrals. Now, orchestrating and stimulating kind of implies that it's something active. It's not something that we hope for. A lot of people put it this way. They say, I'm going to do a really great job for the client, and then I hope that they'll send me a referral. And, hope is not a great marketing strategy. And it's great, from time to time that may happen. But what we want to do is we want to set things up so that we orchestrate and stimulate referrals, so that we have a plan on how to get referrals, so that we're actively asking for them. In fact, at the time of sale, it's not out of order to say, look, we get a lot of referrals from clients like you. You're an ideal client for us. We'd love to work with you. And so whenever I give away a copy of my book, I give away 2 copies, one for the person and one for them to give to a friend or colleague or someone that they're involved with. So I'm arming my referral network so they're able to give something that is very valuable in terms of information, and it's probably got a nominal dollar value of $15 or whatever it is. So they feel good passing on. So really tapping into that psychology of referrals, of why people refer and how people refer.
This is not the words, I'm just paraphrasing it. To borrow other people's marketing ideas in my industry. Can I replicate other people in my industry in their marketing? Is that a good idea or not, Allan?
So it can be a good idea. So I used to have a mentor who said, I've never had an original idea in my life because it's too dangerous, right? And so you want to make sure that if you are following someone else's marketing strategy, that you really understand what they're trying to get out of it, that you really understand what their agenda is, that you really understand what their budget is, because, it's very, very common that people will say, look, the big guy in our industry is doing X, so they're successful, so I'm going to follow what they do. But they may have a very different agenda to you. Most small businesses have one thing on their agenda is, hey, I need to make a profit. Whereas a lot of larger businesses, they want to please their shareholders, they want to please the CEO, they want to win creative awards and all that sort of stuff. And that may be the furthest thing from what you want to do.
All right, my friends, I want to hear, we're going to wrap things up here. We wanted to be quick and powerful. And I want to share a final thought. Here's my final takeaway for you. Different is actually more of you. It's not changing who you are. That's why I put that sign up there. Be you always. It was Oscar Wilde who said, be yourself. Everyone else is already taken. The different is within you. So this is not about expressing yourself as someone else or faking it till you make it. Amplify your own natural idiosyncrasies, and that will distinguish you in your marketing. What's your final thoughts, Allan?
Yeah. So, forget about being professional, forget about being clever, forget about all of those things. Inject your personality, be very, very clear. I often say be clear rather than be clever in your marketing. You want your audience to connect with you, which means you are going to repel some people.
So everyone, thank you for joining us. I hope Allan and I have served you. You've absolutely served us. It's been a pleasure. Remember this, the world is starving to discover you. Market accordingly. All right, my friends, we're done. Have a good night. Allan, thanks again.
My pleasure, Mike. It was a great pleasure being with you. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.